Hello, hello, hello! How are you guys doing this evening? It is 9:39 p.m. on Tuesday evening. I just dropped off my good Judy, Tanya Jean, and we went to our meeting tonight, and then we went and got a fountain pop from Speedway. We went there tonight instead of Get Go or BP, or I think it's called, it used to be BP and now it's Get Go, but it was pouring down rain. It's not anymore, it stopped. So we went to Speedway. I was like, we're gonna go to Speedway because then I can, we can just like walk right in underneath the overhang thing. We won't get wet. So I wanted to try something different. I was actually wanting orange soda tonight. They didn't have it on tap, on tap. So I got Mountain Dew, Goji, Strawberry, Berry, something, Berry Delight. I don't know. It's pretty good. Tanya was like, you just want that because you want something with color. And I said, yeah, duh, I want something bright and pretty. So anyway, it kind of tastes a little diety. I did my hair tonight. What do we think? You guys, my lip gloss is out and my lip balm is out. And I took all of my other ones out of here, I think, because I took this when I went to Florida with me. So I don't have like anything else in here. I just have this lip gloss. I mean, it is like dead, you guys. Like, there's nothing else in here. And my lip balm is the very, very end. Which I have more lip gloss at home and I have more lip balm at home. But yeah, it's like at the very end. I don't know if you can see, but it's like some plastic is coming up. It hurts my lips. But that's the best I can do, so. I'm vlogging early tonight because I'm gonna listen to my audiobook and finish it tonight, which is the Misfortune series, Book 5, Gator Bay. My plan was to finish and listen to it last night, but I started thinking about the Sandra Bernhardt, well, I call her Sandra, but I guess it's Sandra. The Sandra Bernhardt interviews on David Letterman. So I pulled them up and there was like this video and it was like, somebody has put together all the Sandra Bernhardt interviews on YouTube. So there's like 1983 to 1988, 1988 to 1992, and 1992 to 1998 or something like that. But it has all the interviews that she ever did on there. And so I literally just like, I think I picked the second one. I think it was the second one that I picked, second set of them. And I just hit like play and set it over here. And then I just drove around. It was like an hour and 10 or 15 minutes long. I drove around and I just like listened to the Sandra Bernhardt interviews on David Letterman. I miss those interviews so much. They were so fantastic. She is just, you know, she inspired me when I was younger to be myself and to be goofy, crazy, funny, weird, and just own it. And like listening to those last night really inspired me to continue to be that person in my life. That just weird, my windshield wipers. That weird, goofy person today that I am deep down inside, and you know, to like dance to the beat of my own drum and just live to the color of my soul and things like that. You know, like, you know, she is so that and just doesn't, like, from fashion to her opinions about things, or anyway. So I listened to those. And then Hardee's was open early, like it was like 5:45. So I pulled into Hardee's right over here and I got breakfast. And they still, like, I thought that the Hardee's had gotten rid of the Beyond sausage, but this Hardee's still has it. So I got the Beyond sausage biscuit, I got breakfast, and then I sat in the parking lot and I watched like the first, I think it's like an hour and 10 or 15 minutes, the season 4 finale and reunion of Drag Showdown on YouTube that Crystal Ball Diva puts together, which Crystal texted it to me today. She was like, texting me the series. I was like, I only have 20 minutes left, don't tell me. I don't think I said don't tell me, but she was like, well, let me know what you think afterwards. But anyway, so I watched like the first 45 minutes of it, and then I went home and went to sleep, because by then it was like late. It was like 6:45 almost when I got home. I was like, I have got to go to bed. So I slept in super late today. I mean, really late. Like, I got up a couple different times. I got up at like 9 something. Well, Alex left for work early. And then, so I said goodbye to him this morning. And then I turned the fan on higher, which is what I do when he leaves. And then I moved the pillows around and stuff so the dogs can be comfortable. And I brought Tucker's, his quilt, not his quilt, his comfort crochet blankets weren't on the bed. So I brought them over so that he could lay on them. And made the pillows nice for Boo Radley to sleep on. And then I went back to sleep, and then I slept until I got up late, you guys. It was like, I set my alarm, like at that point, I was like still so tired. I slept my alarm for like 1:30, 1:45, and I got up, and I was like, snoozed my alarm a bunch. I bet I didn't even get out of bed, you guys, till 2 something today. I don't know. I stayed up way too late last night listening to all of that, those interviews and stuff. But anyway, and that's what you get when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So I made videos today and did some stuff around the house. Did I tell you guys last night? I think I did, that Alex bought these light bulbs from Amazon for our lamps that are like color changing ones. He's obsessed with it. So he just sent me a video of him and the dogs in bed. And they have like the green lights in the background, like green. He said green is good for helping you go to sleep or something like that. And every morning when I get up now, I make the bed really, really nice. And with all the throw pillows and everything. It's so nice coming into the bedroom with like this huge setup and how the bed looks so nice and stuff. It's really, really nice. Is it nice? Yes, it's really, really nice. It's very nice. So I got up, did that, took the dogs out, and then I got some water and I sat out. It was like in the 70s today, and it was like blustery, blustery, blustery. I don't even have enough to get this over my lips. It was like blustery, windy, blustery outside. Leaves were everywhere, blowing in the wind. It was like just one of those, but it was warm. It was like really warm, you know? So I took my meditation book outside, and I did my prayers, I did my meditation. This is my 12-step meditation book that I took out there with me. It's called, is it Just for Today? No. I think it might be Just for Today. Anyway, I took that one out. Just for Today is, I think, every 12-step program has like a meditation book that goes along with that. I think that might be another, why can't I think of what it's called? 24 Hours a Day. It's the 24 Hours a Day book. So I took that book outside and I read the meditation. It was fantastic. I'll talk about that in just a second. But then that's actually a lot of what I talked about in my Peterisms video today. And then I did my gratitude list for the magic book, and I read the magic book. I still have to find a magic rock for tonight, which is day 2 of the magic book, and I still have to read about tomorrow, and I have one cameo I have to do when I get home too, and then I'm going to finish listening to my audiobook. So I did that, and I read the gratitude, the magic book. I'm loving it already. Like, I kind of, like, even though I do, like, the list, like, the oral list every night of, like, things I'm grateful for, like, the action of writing it down, and you don't just write, like, you know, house, car, water, food, dogs, husband, Alex, you know, marriage. You don't just write down the things you're grateful for. You're supposed to write down, like, I am truly grateful for, or I am extremely thankful for, you know, like, Tanya, because she loves, and then you have to say why, like, because she loves me unconditionally, and she's always got my back, or she's always there for me, and she's my ride or die, right? And then you make a list of the 10 things that you're grateful for that day, and everything has to be different. So, like, you can't write the same things down today that you wrote down yesterday. They have to be specific to that day, right? Which is really cool. I was telling a friend of mine at the meeting tonight, because she watches my Peterisms videos, and she's doing the magic book too. And I was asking her if she did it, and she was like, yeah. She was like, I'm loving it already. And I said, you know what I was thinking about? I was telling Tanya this on the way here that's really cool is, because the book is 28 days of practices, that if you are every day for 28 days making a list of 10 things you're grateful for, at the end of 28 days, basically at the end of a month, you have a list written down of 280 things that you're grateful for. Individual things, 280 things that you're grateful for. So at the end, looking back on it, you can't say, I don't have anything in my life to be grateful for, because you've just made a list of 280 things that you're grateful for, right? So, I had bought a notebook at Target. It's just like a, cheap little, well, I mean, it's not cheap. It was like $4.99 or something, notebook that has sections in it. And then like the first section is like manifestations and dreams. And you're supposed to go in there and make lists of like everything that you want, from like your like physical and health, to your career, to money, to relationships. It's like you're supposed to make all these different lists and go in and write down what your dreams are for that. So I made that part at the beginning, but I haven't written anything down yet for that. And then the second part of it for me is where I'm putting the gratitude list. And so I like date it at the top and I put it through. But then you write down your gratitude list and then you read them either to yourself or out loud. I'm doing it out loud because when I did it out loud before, it really, really helped me. So I'm reading them out loud, and then after you read each one, so like if I read the one about Tanya, I would say it out loud, like, I'm extremely grateful for Tanya being in my life, or being my best friend, because, you wouldn't even have to say all that. Just say, I'm extremely grateful for Tanya because she's my best friend. She loves me unconditionally. She hasn't made my list yet, but I'm extremely grateful for Tanya because she's my best friend, and, she loves me unconditionally, and she's always there to support me, and she's got my back, and she's my ride or die, right? And then you would read that out loud, and then when you were done reading that one, you would say, thank you, thank you, thank you, and go into the next one. So you make your list, and then you read it out loud. And after each one, you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, 3 times. I just cannot get through one entire vlog without saying somebody's name. But anyway, so she's talking in the book about how, like, important it is to say thank you, and that, like, after each thing you say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was telling Tanya about this tonight, that there's a part in the book when it gets to, like, paying your bills, that she suggests, or she said she did this at some point. I can't remember where this was in the book, but I think it's in the book somewhere. That, like, she would pay a bill, and then, I mean, we don't do this as much anymore today because a lot of us have online bills, but, like, back in the day, I would still do this. And I still do this with, like, a lot. I don't do it always, but sometimes if I remember it, I do it. But she said she always does it when she would pay a bill, right? That at the top of the bill after she paid it, she would write, thank you, thank you, thank you on it. Or she would just write thank you on the bill. And to, like, put out, like, acknowledgement of the ability to be able to pay that specific bill, it's like gratitude going forward. And yeah, it's super powerful. And I mean, just 2 days I've done this, and I'm like so happy. I mean, Tanya even noticed it tonight. She's like, you are so happy. I'm like, I am so happy tonight. I'm like in a good mood, and it's a good day to be alive, as they would say in recovery. And I got to see several friends of mine tonight, and I had a good meeting. I did not sit in the same group with Tanya, so our little group talked about inventory tonight, which is always good for me to talk about. My literature meeting that I meet with on Monday, we are getting ready to do inventory in there, so I'm getting ready to do a new, like, big inventory of my whole life, and looking at every area, my resentments, my fears, sexual conduct, like, all that kind of stuff. You go and you do all of that when you do a 4-step inventory, and then you go over it with your sponsor when you do a 5th step, which is where you sit down with your sponsor. You could do it with a minister, a rabbi, a therapist, but it's recommended that anybody off the street, I guess, but it's recommended that you do it with your sponsor. It's suggested. And then you take a look at like those areas. So, like, if you're resentful at somebody, like, let's say if I'm resentful at Judy Smith, let's just make up a name, right? I would write down, like, Judy Smith is who I'm resentful at. Why am I resentful at Judy Smith? Like, what occurred? And then how does it affect me in my life? And what areas of my life is it affecting? And then you look at what's my part in that? Like, what am I doing? And, you know, some things are really hard to realize that you have a part in. Some things I have to realize that I don't necessarily have a huge part in things, like deep things, you know. But most things in my life that are like resentment related or anger, you know, whatever, today, I do have a part, if even that part is just perpetuating, keeping that alive, that resentment or that anger in my life. So I'm going to do that with my sponsor, because we're reading that part of the literature, and that'll be good. You know, it's the clearing of the wreckage of your past, and then going on and looking at your character defects, which are as a result, you know, if something I feel like is affecting my ego and my pride, then my ego and my pride are character defects that I need to take a look at, right? Or my lack of patience or things like that. I mean, I need to take a look at all this stuff in my life, and then what comes out of that, like what my part is in that, typically is where my character defects come from as a result of that. And then I go in and I look at my character defects, and I've always been told that to get rid of a character defect, you practice the opposite, right? So if one of your character defects is lack of patience, you know, that was where I had to do things like hold the door open for people at the gas station and let 3 people go ahead of me, or, you know, whatever. I mean, there was always action that I had to do to removing character defects from my life. It wasn't just like, this is where it really frustrates me when you hear people say, like, YouTubers come on video and say, well, I've changed, I'm a changed. Well, what have you done? Like, what is the action that you've taken? You know, like, I think for all of us out there to make changes in our life, you have, I mean, and there's tons, I mean, I know that when I do this, my sponsor is going to have all these suggestions for me of actions that I have to take, you know, and that's going to be the moment where she's going to say to me, like, this is an opportunity for spiritual growth. Are you choosing to take it? And on a good day, I will say yes, you know. So it'll be good for me. I don't know that I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that I think it'll be fun to sit down. Inventory and evaluation is always hard, you know. But, and I think making a gratitude list is taking a look at all of the good things in my life that are as a result of my, you know, sobriety. And so it's like, here I am looking at the things in my life that, you know, I need to take a look at, that I have a part in today. I have done so much inventory in the last 2 to 3 years that honestly, I don't really have tons to put on this inventory list, but I have some things. You know, I've got things in my life that I need to talk about and work on, and we all do, I think, you know. I think, like, when you get to a point where you don't feel like you have anything to grow from or learn from anymore, is like, isn't that a sad point when you meet somebody and they're just like, again, if I asked you the question, like, what is something in your life that you need to work on today? I remember a sponsor that I had at one point in my life, he said, like, what do you want to work on for this year? And, you know, like, I can remember, like, I don't think I had any really resentment towards my dad or anger, but I don't know at that point that my dad had really, like, come full circle with accepting where my sobriety was, and I think there was still a lot of pain there, you know, for him, and fear. And I said to my sponsor, I said, I want to work this year on, you know, improving the relationship with my dad. And it was, I mean, the relationship was greatly improved just by being sober, but there was still a lot of work that needed to be done there, right? Like, and so we worked on it. And, you know, I can remember, like, my sponsor said something to me that was really powerful. He said, in talking to my dad about his relationship with his dad, he said, because he was like, what do you want from your dad? And I said, well, I want my dad to, you know, see this and see that and see, you know, whatever about my, like, the progress I've made in my life and whatever. And he said, well, what major obstacle, like your addiction, did your dad have to overcome in his life that he had to work through with his own dad? And I was like, well, he really didn't. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, my dad was like, great student in high school, played all state sports, went to, you know, college, you know, studied law, studied medicine. I mean, my dad, like, he was the golden boy, like, you know, so he didn't really have a lot to overcome with his own father. And he said, oh, so he didn't have any, like, obstacles in his life, like addiction, were on that level that he had to overcome with his own dad. And I was like, yeah, like, no, he didn't. And he goes, so therefore his dad couldn't teach him what it was like to overcome something. Like, his dad, your grandfather, didn't teach him what it's like to be a father in that situation. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, so he has no roadmap for what that looks like. And I was like, wow. Like, that's such a powerful statement when you think about parenting. They have no roadmap for what that looks like. So he had no, my dad is going into this being the father of a recovering gay, you know, young man that has no motivation or drive, because I didn't when I was younger, you know, and is creative, and, you know, my dad's creative, but, you know, just like, I mean, my dad and I are as different as night and day in some ways, you know? And so it's like he had no roadmap for what to do with that. And, you know, and I look back and my dad did the best that he could with what he was given. I think that my dad, being so, like, liberal-minded and loving and caring, like, I really think, like, I think that got him so far with helping me. But no, he had no roadmap for that, you know? And so that's what we started working on, was me, you know, explaining to my dad, like, what I needed from him and what I wanted from him, and, you know, and him telling me what he was capable of giving at that time. And you know, my sponsor would say things to me like, this is really not dictated or determined by you. This is really dictated or determined by your dad, because you're the one that has done harm to the relationship. And he was right, you know? And so, you know, slowly my dad and I started working on things, and now it's the relationship that we have today. But, you know, like, I mean, my dad had always been so super supportive of me. I mean, to the point of being, like, my chief enabler, you know? But not because he didn't know better. And that comes into the way of, like, thinking of, like, well, he had no roadmap for what that looked like, you know? My dad was very aware of his being enabling, right? And didn't want to be, but out of fear continued to be. And that was because he had no roadmap for what that would look different. I mean, when somebody told him, like, this is what you're doing, and, you know, it's about, you're not helping him, then he started to change. Then he started to become a different person, you know? And I think about that, and I think about how powerful that is, you know, that my dad and I really grew together through this. And that's how inventory can be super powerful, you know? Inventory, for me, has helped me repair a lot of relationships to the point that I realize that I don't want that relationship today, you know? And I don't need it. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a responsibility in taking responsibility for my part of how that relationship ended or what went wrong. I still have a responsibility to that. At that point, what they do with it is on them. But I can walk away and say I've done my part, you know? But that doesn't mean that I don't have an accountability factor. I absolutely do, you know? And, yeah, it's just, like, inventory is super powerful. And I think the other thing is, too, you know, like, are you somebody that's been down on yourself? Like, you're really down on yourself? And I don't know, there's been points in my life where I thought I was just really a shit person, you know, excuse my language, and wasn't worthy of love and whatever. And when you do inventory and you take a look at the stuff that is in your life and you really talk about it, like, on a deep level, right? To the point of, like, really taking a look at this stuff. And no, the 12-step programs don't fix everything. There's outside issues that require therapy and counseling, and I, you know, highly suggest people going for things that are not addressed in 12-step programs, you know, but a lot of stuff it does. I think the basic fixing of relationships and financial problems and fears and things like that, you start seeing that stuff go away when you start doing this inventory. But one of the things you realize is, and I was never somebody that on an inventory, I was allowed to make gratitude lists and look at all the things I was thankful for in my life, but I wasn't allowed, and I know different people do things different ways, but I was not allowed by my sponsors, all of them that I've had, to make a inventory of all of the great things in my life, all of the things that I've done, you know, that, because I didn't drink over those good things. Typically, I drank over the bad things that I felt about myself in one way or the other. Now, I might have drank to celebrate something good that happened, but deep down inside, it was really like I didn't feel like I deserved it, or, you know, whatever. But the thing is that when you do inventory and you take a look at it with another human being that has been through it and done it, you know, done it themselves, and they can sit there and they can say, well, let me tell you about something that happened in my life, you know? I can remember the first time that I ever did that with my sponsor, and it was so powerful that I thought like I was the only one, you know? And then he's like, well, let me tell you a story, and his story was 10 times worse or similar to mine, you know? And I thought, you know what, I'm not really that bad of a person that I thought I was, you know? Like, sure, there's things I need to work on, sure, there's things I can improve about myself, but I'm not this horrible person that I thought I was, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. And so you start realizing that, and it gives you hope for living, and it gives you hope to, and anybody can do inventory. I mean, you don't have to be in a recovery program to do inventory. You can write down the things. One of the most powerful things for me in my life a couple years ago was all the expectations that I have for people, because I realized that I had super high expectations for people, which a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. So if I had expectations for these people, guess what? I had resentments for them too, because I felt that they should treat me or a certain way, or a situation should have turned out a certain way. Well, that's not how the world works, Peter. And that's not how the world works to anybody out there listening. You know, it's like, I'm glad you have expectations for people. And as a human being, I think that we have a right to have certain expectations for people. Like, I feel like my mom or my dad should act a certain way towards me, you know, or, you know, but that doesn't mean that that's the way that it works in your world. And what is that resentment doing for you today? You know, and it's having to lower those expectations for people, and lowering your expectations for situations that have occurred in your life, and realizing, you know, I know I have flaws too, and I'm only human, and people do the best they can sometimes. That's why, like, I am, as like having people in my life, I'm attracted to people that are willing to say, these are the things I need to work on. Or like, give me a flawed person, but don't just give me a flawed person. Give me a flawed person that's willing to acknowledge that they're flawed and that they want to work on that. Like, to me, like, that is so attractive in a personality. Like, somebody that's like, yeah, hell yeah, I know I'm flawed. And hell yeah, I'm angry and resentful at things that have happened in my life, but I don't want to feel that way. Like, I don't want to continue to just sit in that for the rest of my life. Like, I want to be happy, joyous, and free. You know, I want to work on these things in my life. Like, that to me is so cool when you see that. And those are the people that have been like role models for me in my life. I mean, I've met people that have been, I know people that are 40 plus years sober that I saw some of them tonight, you know, that will sit there and they'll tell you how flawed they are and what they need to work on, you know? Like, that's cool to me. I mean, it's not cool that they're flawed. It's cool that they're willing to work on that, because the reality is, no matter how educated, intelligent, no matter how much therapy and counseling you've gone through, no matter how grand you are or fancy, no matter what background you come from or what family, no matter how spiritual, your spiritual foundation, no matter how spiritually, religiously grounded you are, everybody in this world to the day that they take their last breath will continue to need to work on things. Period. There's going to be things that, I mean, I have never, and that's really like a tenet of religiosity, that when you look at people that are like, you know, religious figureheads like Jesus, I mean, that was like, that's literally like the foundation of Christianity to some degree, okay? That humans are not perfect, right? And so, you know, if you take a look at the whole idea of dying for our sins, it's about this. We're always going to continue to be flawed people. We're always going to continue to want to work, or we're always going to continue to have things to work on. The desire to work on that is what is cool to me. Like, it was funny because I was talking to Tanya about this. So on my Peter Monn channel, I was talking about, you know, a beauty influencer, and I was saying that, like, if I had 6 months and unlimited resources and didn't have to do a thing, like, I would love to go to, like, a wellness retreat, or, you know, have counseling 5 days a week, and, you know, all these personal coaches and nutritionists, and, you know, like, just get super, like, I mean, I already feel like I do so much work, but I just can't even imagine, like, literally just, like, checking out of society for 6 months and just focusing on myself and improving myself for a year. Like, that sounds so desirable to me. Can you imagine, like, going to one retreat after another? Like, here's a retreat in Jamaica, or which I've never been to Jamaica, but here's a retreat in Hawaii, and here's a retreat in the mountains, and you go hiking and eat granola, and you have counseling with, you know, working on your issues, and here's a retreat over here to, like, you know, work on. I mean, Tanya and I, she was like, that whole, like, eat, pray, love thing is, like, so, like, cool to me and desirable. But the reality is that the majority of us, it's kind of surprising to me that you don't see more celebrities or really super wealthy people just, like, checking out and checking in to those kind of things. Like, I mean, if I had that kind of unlimited resources, I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm attracted to that kind of stuff, but I would definitely do workshops and all that. Hell, I love that stuff. I love it. I eat it up, you know? So I don't really understand, like, the resistance to that sometimes, you know? But, you know, as Tanya and I were talking about it last night, I said to her, I said, you know, what's really interesting about it is, and, like, you know, I don't know if this is my God consciousness or whatever, but, like, as I was sitting there and she was talking, we were literally coming right down here too, and she was talking about eat, pray, love. I said, you know what's so funny is I'm sitting here, and you know what my next thought was? Yeah, but we can do that every day of our life. Like, we don't have to go somewhere, right? Like, we don't have to go to a foreign country to eat, pray, love, and to practice that. We don't have to go to some wellness retreat. We don't have to go to workshops. That would be fantastic if we could, right? Okay, but that's not real for us today, to take off all that time and do that, but wouldn't that be fantastic? But we can implement that into our life today. Like, I had a personal trainer, and I was going to training, and I was going to the gym all the time. Well, that stopped. I could do that. You know, I don't have to get a nutritionist to eat healthy, right? Like, you know, Alex and I found 2 counselors that we narrowed it down to. Well, I could get a counselor, and I could afford to go to a counselor once or twice a week, plus, you know, marriage counseling if I really wanted to work on some of these issues. I have a sponsor that she'll do inventory and help me with my spiritual growth basically, you know, anytime that I want. There's tons of books out there to read. There's a lot of Zoom workshops that you can do for free, you know, that are not just 12-step related, but on anything that you can Google. Hell, half these people that wrote all these self-help motivational books are doing Zoom workshops now for reduced rates, probably because they're not making money otherwise. You know, there's so many things that I could be doing that I'm not doing, right? So I could be doing that as well. And I need to look into that because I think that would be cool. But I just want to tap into being, like, the most spiritually grounded, open, mentally and physically healthy person that I can possibly be. And I've got a lot of stuff standing in the way that I allow to be an obstacle, you know, that I need to work on to get to that point. So, I'm the resistance, I'm the blockage in the way, you know what I mean, of that, and I will get there. But to go back, I was reading this meditation book today. God, I've almost come, like, an entire circle all the way around. To come back to the meditation today, I was talking about, it was so powerful because so it goes like 12-step thought for the day, meditation for the day, and prayer for the day. And for the meditation for the day, it was talking about, if you go watch my Peterisms video, I read it, the part in the book, but it talks about how how when difficult things happen to us in our life, they're basically happening, if you have a higher power belief, they're basically happening for two reasons. To teach us that we can overcome it and to show us our own strength, or to be used in some way, which for me I translate into turning our wounds into wisdom, being a teacher to somebody else, right? Or to use it as a vehicle to something else. You know, like me getting sober and using, like, that ended up becoming me working in a treatment facility and things like that, right? Like, so, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's like me, like, coming out, and that whole process I put into, like, I used it and put it into my book that I wrote, and I share it in stories. I talk about my sobriety and my recovery all the time in my videos. You know, I talk about being gay and coming out all the time in my videos. So I use it to some degree, right, to continue to overcome and maybe help other people if possible. And I thought it was really interesting, you know, that, like, when you're going through, like, a really tough time, like, I love the saying by Maya Angelou, where if you're going through a really difficult time, look up and say thank you, because you're about to learn a valuable lesson in your life. Like, I love that saying. And I love the Oprah saying, I feel like I'm just repeating my Peter Rissen's video, but I love the Oprah saying that, you know, turn your wounds into wisdom. But this idea that, like, when you're going through something, and I don't know if you're like me, but there have been many hours that I have spent being like, why God, why God, why God, why is this happening to me, or whatever I believe in at the moment, you know, like, what is going on, like, I can't believe this, you know, what's the purpose for all of this? And when I read it today, it simplified it to this just very basic idea that things either happen to show me how strong I am to overcome it, or to be used in some fashion down the road. And I thought, God, that's so interesting. It's so powerful, isn't it? To think about it from that point of view, you know? I don't know. My hand is hurting. It's continued to hurt, like, every day for so long. I need to do something about it. I used to think it was, like, because I was sleeping like this, but I don't think that's it, because it's a little bit this hand too. Tonight when I was writing my gratitude list, it, like, even really hurt my hand did from, like, writing. I didn't realize until today, like, other than making a list every day, like, I don't really write a whole lot. Isn't that crazy? Like, I hadn't even thought about that. But I don't, like, I don't really write. So weird to think that 2 days of making written gratitude lists make me feel so just excited about life and full of life, you know? It's so weird just to think that. I'm wearing my new Grey Goose shoes tonight. They're really comfortable. We came out of the meeting, it was like pouring down rain. I'm like, the first time I wear these shoes, it's pouring down rain. But they're real deconstructed looking anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I need to clean my windshield out, or the windshield off, because I cleaned it with this, like, well, I reviewed them on my review channel like a year ago. They were called, like, Miss June's Miracle Cloths or June's Miracle Cloths, but now every time I see them, they're called something different. Now they have them at the Meijer, they have them at Meijer in the As Seen on TV thing, but they're called, like, Martha's Magical Wipes or something. And then I got them online, and they were called, like, Sally's Magical Wipes or something. They're called something different every time. But they really do work. You just dip them in water, and then you can wash them, and they clean. Like, God, they make your windows and stuff so clean. So I need to clean these off. I'm hoping that Alex doesn't have any like work meetings or work or anything that he has to do on Saturday, because then maybe we can go and get the nightstands. And then we also want to get, we're getting blackout curtains for the bedroom. Did I tell you that? Get blackout curtains for the bedroom. and then blackout curtain, well, not blackout curtains, but new curtains for downstairs in our living room. It's kind of weird, like how, like, bit by bit, like, things that we're changing are really making the place, like, so much nicer. Like, even just putting the lamps up there. I was kind of like, today I was looking at the lamps, and I was like, I love these lamps that my aunt had, but I was like, I'm not really sure I love these lamps in this room. I was kind of like thinking to myself. And I asked Alex, and he's like, yeah, I like the lamps. The lampshades look great with it. I thought the lampshades would look stupid with it, but they don't. They look really nice. And then I was like, it's the picture behind the bed. Like, I love the picture of Alex and I, but it's the picture behind the bed. Like, it needs to go. We need to put something else up there because it doesn't go with the bedding, and it doesn't go with the lamps or the lampshades. So we've got a couple different ideas of some stuff that we're gonna do for behind the bed. And then I'm excited for my red plaid Christmas duvet cover and stuff to come. I'll probably wait until week of Thanksgiving to put that up. Maybe not, we'll see. If it starts getting really cold, I've just got to call the fireplace person. I have to remember to do that tomorrow. I've been listening to that song, Hips Don't Lie by Shakira. Here's my little joke to Ballerini. I don't relate to it much. I love you, Ballerini. But I've been listening to it like all day. I was playing it for Tanya. Now I've got it stuck in my head. Don't you hate that when you get a song stuck in your head? Oh, baby, when you talk like that. Alex, like, is obsessed with Shakira. Like, I think that's like, he used to love Britney Spears, but he doesn't like love her so much anymore. He doesn't follow her. He said he unfollowed her on all social media. He used to be obsessed with her when I met him. Okay, it stopped. Celia Cruz he loved too, but I think because he grew up on so much of that music, or her music. But Shakira, oh my God, my husband loves Shakira. He like knows every one of her songs. Like anytime a Shakira song comes on, no matter how random it is, he always like knows it. He's like, I'm like, how do you know this song? He's like, it's Shakira. I know all of her songs. I do love her too, though. She's so pretty, isn't she? Oh, baby, when you talk like that. When I go inside, I need to replace this and this. I need to just throw them out because I'll keep them in there forever. And I need to bring out the new one. Oh, God, that hurts. I mean, there's like literally like hardly anything left in this. I'm like kind of like hoping that maybe it's like in the... Yeah, I think I've used. I'm like digging in it. Do you guys do that? Someone said on my video that I needed to be in an ad campaign for Lunar Beauty 2021. Lip gloss, dad AF. And I was like, duh. I do love this lip gloss so much. I don't know how I'm still pulling some out of there, but there's like a little bit on the insides, like component on the insides. On the inside. So when I finish my book tonight, I don't know what book I'm going to finish next. I should probably read the J.C. Duggar books because those are the November books for the book club. But I think I'll read those closer to when we do the book club. So I think I'm going to just read book 6 in the Jana DeLeon series. Oh my God, I am so obsessed. And she, like, somebody tweeted her and said, oh my God, Peter Monn loves you. And she, like, they included me in the ad. And she was like, oh, that's so nice. And they're like, he talks about you every night on his vlog. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm fangirling over Jana DeLeon. Okay, I've got to listen to the next time the audiobook starts it, because they say, it's not, I say Jana DeLeon, and it's DeLeon, I think. I think it's DeLeon. But anyway, I'm like fangirling over the fact that the person that writes the cozy mysteries that I love, like, is included in a tweet that I'm in. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. Isn't that so funny? Oh, well, I'm just kind of simple like that. I like those things. They make me happy. Have a whole lot more to talk about, honestly. I think I'm actually going to end the vlog a little early tonight and get off here now so I can listen to my audiobook. I'm going to go home and I'm going to start, I'm going to do that cameo, and then I'm going to upload, I have a couple cameos, but I have one that's due tomorrow, so I was doing like 4 hours, so I have to like get it done. I love doing those cameos. Oh my god, they are so much fun. People are so sweet. Like, it's just, people are so incredibly sweet. But anyway, so I'm gonna go do the cameo, and I'm gonna get this vlog ready to put up tomorrow, so it'll be done before I go to bed tonight and ready to post tomorrow. And yeah, so I'm gonna get off here now. And is that it? Anything else? Anything else? I think that's it. And I'm just gonna simply say tonight, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Be kind to one another. Be kind to one another. And put love, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and understanding out there in the world. And like it says in the 4 agreements, always lead with love. You can start your day over whenever you want. Most importantly, let somebody know how much how much they mean to you, how important they are to you. Practice random, also like I always say, practice random acts of kindness, but also like I always say, don't tell anyone. I couldn't just say I love you, but that's the most important thing, is I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!